Okay, Hazy and T in the building. I Only Touch Greatness podcast. We got Craig Button coming up. NHL Scout. If you like what I'm doing, you hit the subscribe button. If you need a place for a good beer, good food, and good people, head on over to the John B. Pub.
Hi, I'm Craig Button, and I'm ready to join the podcast, I Only Touch Greatness.
Ryan Hayes. Never stop. I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
This is I Only Touch Greatness podcast with Ryan Hayes. We are going live.
Hey, Craig.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good.
I'm Ryan, by the way.
Hey, Ryan.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Are you doing video?
Oh, you want video? I didn't even know. Here we go.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I just put the video out on YouTube too.
There we go. You got me?
Yeah, sweet. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, happy to join you.
Yeah, I know you're a busy guy.
Oh, we're all busy.
Yeah. So you're born and raised in New York. Where do you call home now?
Oh, no. I live in Calgary. I've lived half my life in the United States and half in Canada, but I've been in Calgary for 20 years.
Okay.
And I was in Ann Arbor before that, working. And then I grew up in Montreal. So kind of my first 11, 12 years were in the U.S. as a kid, then until 25 in Montreal. And then I was in Ann Arbor for 12 years, and I've been in Calgary for 20. And now you can add up and figure out how old I am.
Yeah, it's a lot of math. I'm not going to even attempt to do that on the live feed here. I don't want to embarrass myself. What challenges did you come across in getting to where you are today?
Like, what do you mean?
Is there anything that from like any time before, maybe now you're big famous Craig Button and like is there something that stands out as like a challenge getting to
I mean, the first thing I always joke about this, Ryan, but to get into media, there's two ways to get into media. You train and go to school and become educated and work your way into media, or you work in sports and get fired, and then the media wants to have your perspective. So it wasn't something that I had planned, but at the same time, I had some pretty good role models and people that dealt with the media in such an exemplary fashion. I mean, and that was Bob Clark and Bob Gainey. So, when I became a manager, to me, the media have a very important job. And I think one of the things that was ingrained in me was that, you have a job to do, they have a job to do. Let's all find a way to make sure we can all do our jobs as best as we can. And that doesn't mean being obstinate. That means being cooperative. That doesn't mean giving away trade secrets, but it also means engaging. And quite frankly, I think a big part of that has been lost in present day sports. And I don't like it. I don't see why you can't go and engage with the media. And so, when I started I had an opportunity, and I do believe that, my personality and my dealings helped me, find my way into the media. And then quite frankly, at TSN, I have so many different things that I'm able to do that draw on my experiences that I love it. I really do. Like, people ask me, would you want to go back to a team? Yeah, I would. Being part of a team is always a lot of fun. You're building to something that's very unique, and having done it before, it's something that, how exhilarating it can be, and it can be challenging. But at the same time, the team I'm on now is terrific. The people are phenomenal. Like I said, I have a wide variety of duties, and that keeps me going as well. So, at this point in time, I got to tell you, I love what I do, and I love the people I work with.
And TSN's the good one, anyways.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I listen to 1040 every day. I don't listen to anything else. Just 1040. One of my stats I got here. It's Your mom was a secretary for the Leafs?
She was the secretary for Punch Imlach.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, she was Punch Imlach's secretary. So, it was funny, Ryan, when I first started in hockey, a lot of people would say, oh, they'd introduce me as Jack Button's son. And a lot of people knew my mother before they knew my father. They said, oh, I know him as Bridget D'Souza's. That's my mother's maiden name. I know him as Bridget D'Souza's son. So a lot of the people that came through the Toronto Maple Leafs organization, I know players that came through the St. Michael's program, and then with the Leafs and the farm team, they knew me. I mean, Al Arbor, he was playing in Rochester. My dad was working for the Rochester Americans, which was Toronto's farm team. And Al Arbor always, to his dying day, he always called me, hey, you snotty-nosed little brat. Because I was just a little kid, and I'd get dragged to the arena. I'd be out on the, how a little kid is. I don't remember it. That's what he always, whenever he saw me, that's what he called me. Hey, you snotty-nosed little brat. So I always joke, Ryan, that it's not a joke, but I always comment that, hockey was the family business, and, I found my way into it, and, I feel fortunate. And like I said, I've worked with some fantastic people that have really helped me, not only enjoy the game in different ways, but also, derive tremendous pleasure from being part of it.
And then your dad was also a big part of the NHL Central Scouting, right? He was one of the first ones.
Well, he started NHL Central Scouting, but I mean, he went to Pittsburgh in 1966 when they were an expansion team, and and then he was the assistant manager and ultimately became the manager there. And then when they went bankrupt in 1975, that's when Clarence Campbell, then president of the National Hockey League, decided that they wanted to have central scouting. There was a lot of challenges with the WHA, so that's how we ended up in Montreal, because that's where the head offices were. So he started NHL Central Scouting, and then ended up going to work for the Washington Capitals, and that's where he worked until he passed away in 1996.
Oh, of course. Sorry to hear that.
Oh, yeah. No, I always say that death, my father always used to say is that, you want to live life, and, life is for the living. We mourn the dead, but, let's make sure that through our living that the memories we have after people have passed are fond, and they always warm our hearts.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So you've always wanted to be in this line of work pretty much?
No, I'll be honest with you.
Like the hockey industry.
No, not at all. No, I was headed to banking. Ryan. And, when I finished playing like junior hockey when I was 20, I went to university and I just applied myself. And at the completion of university, Jack Ferreira, who had worked with my dad, he had asked me a couple of times if I wanted to do part-time scouting. He was with the Rangers, and he'd asked me a couple of times if I wanted to do part-time scouting, but I was having too much fun on weekends. My buddies and we used to go into these Molson Beer hockey tournaments, and we just had fun. And that's all we did. We just went and played and, went into these tournaments, and it was a ball. And anyway, he became the general manager in Minnesota. And I'd sent him a congratulatory note, and he asked me, he goes, why don't you come and scout here? We got lots of opportunity. And I said, he goes, don't even worry about it. He goes, if you don't like it, he goes, I know lots of people in banking. I'll help you get into banking. And so I decided to take it. I decided to take him up on his offer. My dad thought I was crazy, and but it's worked out really well. And again, I worked. I mean, our group in Minnesota when I started there was Jack Ferreira, the general manager. Dean Lombardi was an assistant manager. Les Jackson and Chuck Grillo were running the player personnel and scouting departments. Doug Jarvis was an assistant coach. I ended up with some phenomenal, fantastic people that really that I learned from, and then it just carried on from there.
See, I always remember you from the North Stars days when, like you said, having good mentors ahead of you with the Bob Geeneys. What was your favorite team that you were a part of there? Was it you like the Flames?
Well, you know what I would say. You know, we went to the Stanley Cup final in 1991, and our team wasn't very good. It was Bob Gainey's first year as coach and Bob Clark's first year as general manager, and our team wasn't very good. And then, you know, Bob had retired in 1989, had gone over to France to be a playing coach, and then he came back, and you know, you know, all that experience, and you know, Bob listened to people, and you know, but sometime in the new year, he just found his comfort level as a coach, as a voice, and as somebody that could give really clear and direct instructions, and provide the direction that players wanted and needed. And our team went to the Stanley Cup final. And magical mystery tour, because it's always magical when you get on a streak like that. It's magical when you get to the Stanley Cup final and you're competing for the Stanley Cup. But there was some mystery to it because we weren't a great team during the regular season. But I'll tell you what, you go look at our record from beginning of February right through. I mean, I think we beat the first, second, and fifth overall seeded teams in the league in Chicago, St. Louis, and Edmonton. And we were up 2-1 in the Stanley Cup final before Mayor Lemieux decided, you know what, that Stanley Cup is something that I really want to win, and I really want to get my name on it. And he just decided that his time was now.
Yeah, and I recall that goal because I believe it was Lemieux. He put it through his skates while turning, and then came in on the breakaway and scored.
Yeah, it's one of the great Bob Cole calls, with Mario. But I mean, Mario was such a great player, and that was a great Pittsburgh team. It really was, and but that was a lot of fun. But I'll tell you what was really fascinating. I mean, ultimately we ended up winning the cup after we moved to Dallas, but Our team went through some different owners. Our team went through some different, obviously, cities. But, the core group of people, Bob Clark went back to Philadelphia, but Bob Gainey, Doug Armstrong, Les Jackson, Rick Wilson, Doug Jarvis, Dan Stukel, myself, we were all together. Ralph Strangis and Daryl Ray, Daryl came after. Ralph was already with us in Minnesota, the play-by-play person. But we were all together. We were all together through that whole thing. And there was days when we didn't know, if we would last another day. There was days where we didn't know where the next opportunity to sign a player would come, because finances were tight for our team. But when Mr. Tom Hicks bought our team, and we ended up becoming not just a good team, but a championship caliber team. There was this feeling, this enormous sense of pride, an enormous sense of kinship, what I would like to call the esprit de corps. And we had that. And, in 1998, David Poyle, who had worked with my dad for a long, long time, and him and my dad were very close, not only as colleagues in hockey, but as friends in life. And he offered me a job to go to Nashville to work with him as assistant manager. And, it was really hard. It was really, really hard, because here I am thinking, oh my God, it's a real good opportunity for me. David Poyle is somebody I love and admire, his family. And then, I'm thinking about all the work I've put in Dallas, and, we felt we were close. I know there was no guarantees. And at the end of it, I declined. And David, he said to me, he goes, this is confusing. You have an opportunity to do more. It's an expansion team. And I said, David, this isn't easy, but I really feel that it's something where I have an opportunity to finish what I started in Dallas. And that was all. We were the worst team in National Hockey League in 1988. And to be close, he goes, there's no guarantees. There's a lot of people that have been in exactly your same spot. I said, I know that, and I realize that, and I respect that. But at the same time, if I don't take this, if I don't stay, I'll then I won't know if what I like not having a guarantee was fine with me. not staying and ultimately seeing them have success would have bothered me more than staying and not having success. And we won the cup. And,
in 99, right?
David was one of the first people that reached out to me and phoned me, and he said, you know what, you finished what you started, and it's something I never forgot.
That was the Brett Hall goal, right?
Yep.
Okay. I still don't know how that counted, but yeah, we'll let it count.
Well, do we want to go through the whole? You know what's interesting, Ryan? I'll tell you this. You know, again, and this comes back to everyday life and everything that becomes important in communication. In a series before against Colorado, we had a goal almost identical to that, disallowed. Pat Verbeek. It's almost exact same type of play. And we went to the league and asked for clarification on the rule. And so the league sent out not an update, but they clarified the rule in memo form. And really what it was about continuation. Is if you move through the crease with respect to continuation as you've had a shot, and that's exactly, if you go back and watch the goal, the Hully comes in with the puck, he shoots, and then the puck is loose. And that was, he didn't have to come out of the crease to go back in to get the puck. It was called continuation. And they clarified that. Now, the failure is that it wasn't communicated. And, you know, hockey, and I'm not here to criticize anybody. We all learn from different things. But, you know, the critical part of communication is not just so you know what the rule is. It's also so everybody knows what the rule is, and there's not controversy surrounding it. And we had that memo tucked right in our breast pockets in our suits just in case. And lo and behold, there it happened in Game 6. But you know, so it was. So
you guys all knew about it then, and then the media just didn't really portray it properly.
Well, nobody really knew about it, and that's not. You know, I always use this. I had a professor in university, Ryan, use a quote. He said, if you don't communicate effectively, you know, it's like winking at somebody in the dark. You know what you're doing, but they don't.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I think it was, I never forgot that comment he made in teaching us in university about the real importance of communication. And so now, and all these years later, right, it's still there, right? But I remember we won, the puck went in, and Bob told me, we were upstairs in Buffalo, and Bob said to me, he said, stay up here with the review, I'm going downstairs. And so I was upstairs, and the NHL group, Colin Campbell, and it was pretty quick. Right outside the door, boom, all good goals. So they reviewed it, but it's very different today than it was then in terms of procedures and communication.
That one also kind of changed the rule after that to make sure that doesn't really happen again.
Well, and to make the rule clearer, right? And simple, right? Like it's, you know, I know a lot of people don't like the puck over glass rule, but you know, it's clear. If you put the puck over the glass and it's not deflected, it's a penalty, right? Yeah. But, you know, and people say, well, leave it to the discretion of the referees. Well, they did, and they never called it. So, you know, again, you know, whether you like it or you don't, it's very clear what the rule is. And I think to your point about the crease, why complicate something that didn't need to be complicated? I
really like, because I played beer league hockey, I really like the floating, so you come in, and I guess it's called a hybrid offside, where you come in across the blue line, right? But now center ice is your clearing line.
Oh yeah.
So, it's just because of COVID, because they can't have that many people all in the same offensive zone. So they've spread it out to make it so you can play once you cross the blue line. Now the whole red line in is now your offensive zone. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Well, you know, it's always interesting, like, you know, how new concepts and rules and ideas get implemented. So in this case, we have COVID, right? So we want to keep people separated. So, does that spur on something? I was just talking to somebody, about change, and, change is never easy. Nobody likes change. Nobody's totally comfortable with change because a lot of times people don't know what change means. But what change gives you it opens up potential for new opportunities. And so what you're just talking about now is potential for new opportunities. The 3-point line in the NBA, it wasn't introduced to have people shoot more 3 points. It was to reward people for longer distance because in and around the basket had become so congested and it was so hard to score. So what they wanted to do was create more space in and around the basket.
Yeah.
That was the primary goal, and to get people away from the basket defending. And then now what ended up happening? The 3-point shot not only became a weapon, but it also became a tool for development. I mean, what kid today playing basketball doesn't go out and try to hit the threes, right? So, there's an example of trying to change one thing, and it's had such a positive effect and such great opportunity in so many other ways.
How long have you been at TSN now?
10 years.
10 years?
10 years, yeah, 10 years. Yeah, I started with the NHL Network in 2009. And, then I started to, because TSN ran the NHL Network out of their studios. Okay. They had a partnership with it. So, and so that was Gord Cutler, who was the executive producer of the NHL Network. He had produced Detroit Red Wings games, so I knew him. And, so he said, hey, why don't you come on over, give it a try, see if you like it. And, we always like to have some different perspectives. And then TSN, and I knew people at TSN, it kind of bled over. And then, before long, it wasn't long before I was doing a whole lot of things for TSN.
Okay, now to my Canuck talk.
Canucks, here we go. You got a 6 jersey, Brock Besser, and you got Elias Pettersson, number 40 jersey.
Hey, this over here, wherever I'm pointing at, it's a picture at the top is me with the Sedins, and I seen them out for lunch. I've got them to autograph the picture. I have the ticket stub autographed from their final game. From their jersey retirement night. That's an autographed ticket stub. I have another picture of them autographed, and I kept all the pins and all this, everything all in an order. Nice twin shrine. Then down here, it's the 2 Sedin hats there was only 222 of them sold, and then 233 of the Henrik ones.
Oh, okay.
And I got both bobbleheads. It's all one Sedin shrine there.
That's cool. Hey, they were they were outstanding players, and they're even better people. And for me, I'm really lucky. I watched those kids start playing when they were 15. I first saw them play when they were 15. And you know what I used to chuckle about, Ryan?
What's that?
When people used to think that they weren't tough enough or they weren't competitive enough. And you go and watch the games. You go, what do you mean they're not tough enough? They have the puck all night long. They make plays all night long. They want to make a difference all night long. People are trying to get them. They can't get close to them. And all I know is that they score in and around the net all the time. So, but it's amazing, some of the stereotypes and some of the narratives that surround players. And I mean, never once did I ever look at the Sedins and think they weren't competitive or tough. I mean, I always looked at them as just brilliant players. And for Brian Burke, I mean, that is still one of the, not still one, that is still
got to be the top one.
Oh, it is. It's the greatest draft day maneuver in the history of the game. It was unbelievable.
There should be a movie about that. They did draft day of the football movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing about Brian, too, is that everybody was thinking about which one was going to be the better and how they would play separately. And Brian was thinking about, I'm finding a way to get them together. It was brilliant. I don't know what else to say. It was brilliant.
Okay, what am I going to do about Jim Benning here?
Oh, no, Ryan, you're not going to start in on Jim Benning. Now, let me ask you this. Let's rewind for a second.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
So the qualifying round starts, right? They lose game 1 against Minnesota, and then they steamroll, right? They get going pretty good, right?
Yeah.
How'd you feel once they got going at the end of that? Just tell me Ryan's feelings at the end of that first qualifying round.
Well, I was happy to be there because we weren't supposed to be there this year.
Okay.
We
You were happy, right?
Yeah, honestly, I'm a season ticket holder to the Canucks,
Yeah.
and I bought this is my first year buying them because I thought this was the year we were going to go on a cup run. I'd be able to sit there in the stadium, going all the way to the finals, row 5. Like, I wanted to be there this year because I thought this was the year, and I was all in on them.
Well, that's okay. There's nothing wrong. So now they get to the second round.
Yeah.
So
Nope, I didn't expect them to get past St. Louis.
okay, but they did, and they got by him in 6 games. And I mean, there were some times when they wobbled a little bit, and but they didn't fall down, right? And then Vegas is a pretty good team, and then they found a way through goaltending and
Pushed them to the limit.
some other good things to get to Game 7, right?
And anything can happen in Game 7. So
Yeah, right. And hey, listen. So all I know is that in my field. So I'm asking you now through 1, 2, 3. Jim Benning had a lot to do with that team.
of course,
Still does.
Yep.
Weren't you excited about being a Canucks fan?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. What I was getting at was
So why don't you continue to be excited?
because you see that he traded away. The Toffoli one that hurt me because we gave up Madden, and Madden's a hell of a prospect.
Yeah, he is.
And a second round. That's why I'm pissed off. And then, yeah, that's the main reason I'm pissed off is because you let him walk. And I like to build with all your prospects, and I interview prospects and stuff. And
that's fair enough. But Jim, so they've drafted really well. They've drafted a Tyler Madden and certainly a second round draft pick, but Tyler Toffoli was a big part of that run here. And you have to make decisions at different points in time about what fits and what doesn't fit. But at the same time, free agency begins on Friday, and there seemed to be a lot of hand wringing, prior to Nate Schmidt being announced as the newest acquisition by the Vancouver Canucks on Monday. And, there's not going to be a regular season game played for 2.5 months. And, I don't know what the parameters are, when players hit free agency in this pandemic, like with respect to their expectations, what becomes reality. And certainly you look at the deal that Tyler signed in Montreal and you go, that's a pretty good deal, right? You kind of think, done it. Yeah, well, you think that, right? And I'm not saying they couldn't have, right? But here's what I would say. Okay, so be disappointed because I like you. I like Toffoli. I thought that was a great trade. I love Tyler Madden. I think that Tyler Madden's going to be a really good player. And you'd like to see him keep up. But now there's another key factor here. Cap space is going to present other opportunities. So what I would say is, I think everything you're saying is legitimate. You'd like to see a player stay. I think that Jim himself would have liked to see him. But give it a little bit of time. Let's just wait and see. I mean, he made the trade last year for JT Miller for a first-round pick, and maybe a lot of people didn't know how good JT Miller was. He was an instrumental part of their success and will continue to be. He makes the trade for Tyler Toffoli. That ends up being a really good trade.
It was good. It was good, but to see him walk away with nothing.
I know. But let's just see what he does. Just give him. I think what I'm really trying to say is I think he's earned the opportunity for people to express their disappointment about losing Toffoli, but also the opportunity to be patient. Let's see what he does. Okay, because the team is. I mean, Demko's a good goalie. He wanted to keep Markstrom. Make no mistake about it. But he realized he couldn't. So it's good that you have a guy like Demko, and then I like the Holtby addition. Then you end up with Nate. I mean, he gave up nothing for Nate Schmidt. So how about if I told you this? How about if I said this? Back on March 1st, or just prior to the trade deadline, Jim Benning trades Tyler Madden, a second-round draft pick, and a third-round draft pick in 2022 for Tyler Toffoli and Nate Schmidt.
Okay. he's done good on that part. I mean, I'm just.
But he gave up nothing to get Nate Schmidt.
Yeah, so that was a nice one. That was I agree. That was good, and the Holtby one was good too because you got him for almost half price. So.
Right. Well, so anyway, so that's all I'm saying. Like, I love Toffoli. I think he was a great fit with Besser. Now, let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see. I just want to wait, give him a chance to wait and see, because I think this is a really good team. I think now you have Hughes, you have Butch, you have Nate Schmidt, who's a good player. Brogan Rafferty, I don't know how much you know about him or how much you've seen him play. He's a good player. He's going to play on their team next year. I thought he could have played this year. So, you still, Tyler Myers is still there, obviously. We'll see what else he does. Pedersen, JT Miller, Besser, so. And Hoglander and Podkolzin, they might not be there this coming season, but they're good players.
And they're coming.
Players, yeah. Really, what I'm trying to tell you is be excited. At the same time that you're disappointed about one move, temper it with the excitement of the potential of this team. And for a manager has to be able to continue to move the team forward. So the challenge for Jim is real. He knows it. And now, to get everybody excited again about the team.
Yeah. The second blemish I had was we get to the third round of the draft and sort of is still sitting there, and he didn't take the hometown Vancouver guy. Wait.
I know, but you can't do that. You have to go by the players you think are players. Now, listen, I think everything being equal, okay. When I was running a team, everything being equal, we're taking a local kid. But if things aren't equal, you can't just jump it for a local kid. So obviously, when you make that decision, and Justin is there, and I really like Justin. I think Justin's a good player. I think that he's got lots of potential. But you can't just jump your evaluation process and just put a guy locally ahead of it. Because if you do that, I can guarantee you this, because if you do that and that local kid, somebody picked up after him ends up being better than the local kid, Jim Bennett will be hearing about that. So, let that be evaluated. Let's see where it goes. And, timing will tell. But I do like Justin Sordiff. And I think the fact, where did he go in the fourth round?
No, he went 3 picks after. He went third round, I believe, and it went to Florida.
Florida, yeah. Well, I think he's a good player. So
yeah, I've had him on too. I've met him a bunch of times being out here.
Justin's a good player.
Great guy. Another good one who I would have loved to seen Markstrom maybe stay. And you talk about all these mythological trades, but somehow I wanted to see Demko and Virtanen go to Colorado for Bowen Byram.
Well, can I tell you what?
Never going to happen.
Well, like if Joe Sakic ever made that trade, he would have to be tested for some type of loss of sanity.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you're getting Demko, and no way you're getting Bowen Byram's going to be a number one defenseman in the National Hockey League for 12, 15 years. And you're not getting him in that trade. Now, if you want to talk about trading Quinn Hughes, okay, you could trade Quinn Hughes and get Bowen Byram.
They don't even need him.
I know, but Vancouver's not going to do that. Who doesn't need him?
No, Colorado doesn't need him. They got McCarr, and they're not going to be able to keep him. And we needed a D-man until we just made the Schmidt trade. But
listen, Colorado's going to have a chance to win multiple cups with Byram and McCarr before they have to worry about money. And your assessment of Bowen is outstanding, because he is a heck of a player.
Yep, he's another great guy who I've met many times. And Colby Ambrosio, another guy in Colorado that just went to Colorado at the draft. That kid's really good too. You got a few more myths?
Sure.
Okay, good. What's your favorite sports movie?
My favorite sports movie? Geez, that's what would be my? Geez, that caught me off guard a little bit.
I had you on the Canucks.
Yeah, well, no, that's okay. I'm just trying to think on the move here. What was my favorite sports movie? I would have to say Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner.
Yeah, you build it, they'll come.
Yeah, I mean, Bull Durham was funny, but like, you know, in terms of you know, just the whole idea of the Field of Dreams and what baseball represents. And my dad was a huge baseball fan, and he loved baseball, and he loved listening to baseball on the radio. And you know, stories he would tell me about him and his dad going to baseball games. It just the Field of Dreams really it hit me on a real personal level because, you know, you think about the grass growing and spring and a new season. I mean, just, you know, hockey's different. It's like, you know what, we can't play hockey until the water freezes and we get to the fall and winter, whereas baseball is about renewal, right? So it just fits. So first, it would be Field of Dreams. And there's a lot of other good ones, but
I hear it a lot. Yeah, a lot of, you know, and then I always hear slap shots, of course.
Yeah, Slapshot was funny, and you know, of course, like, you know, all the different lines from it and everything. But, you know,
what's your personal highlight?
Personal highlight. Well, it's hard not to say winning the Stanley Cup, and you know, you dream of winning a Stanley Cup, and you do, and it becomes significant. And it was, but you know, there's so many different things. Like, you know, when we won the cup, I thought about so many different things leading up to the cup. I thought about Game 6 when we were down 3-2, and we had to go into Colorado and win that game to get to Game 7. But you know, I told you the story earlier about David Poyle. In 1998. We lost to the Detroit Red Wings in Game 6 of the conference final. Joe Nieuwendyk had blown out his knee in the Game 1 of that series, of that playoffs. And, you know, we went all the way to Game 6, and we had a good team. I mean, we'd won the President's Trophy that year. And I'm never one to say, well, if we had Joe Nieuwendyk, we would have won. I don't know that. I mean, we were a good team. We were the best team in the regular season. So we knew we were a good team. But we lost Game 6 in Detroit. And, you know, season's over. There's a buzz always around the team. Next game, everything going. And when the season ends, I call it the flat line. There's nothing. The only sound you hear is the sound of the light bulbs. Anyway, we're in the Joe Louis Arena. We're in the coach's office, and it felt like an eternity before anybody spoke. And, you know, Bob Gainey was there, and Ken Hitchcock, and Doug Jarvis, and Rick Wilson, and Doug Armstrong, and myself, and Tim Bernhardt. And finally, Doug Jarvis spoke, and he said, you know what? We got a team here. We have a team. We have a good team. We have a team that plays for one another. We have a team that understands and is willing to pay the price to win the ultimate goal, to achieve their ultimate goal. And he said, like, that makes me feel proud. And everybody started talking, right? And we just started talking. And there was this realization that despite not having won the Stanley Cup, and, you know, here we are in this great disappointment, that what we had was pretty special. And, you know, sometimes, you know, you hear that you have to lose sometimes to appreciate winning. Yep. I think we had to lose to appreciate what we had. And it was at that moment in time that I appreciated fully what we had and what we had worked to accomplish. And there was no guarantees, but we did have. We had the essence of a team. We had the fiber and the backbone of a good team. And because I'd been there for 10 years, and, you know, you're thinking about all the things that have gone on, you realize you're close. I mean, that was a pro. I mean, I never realized I got let go as the Calgary Flames general manager in the summer of 2003. They went to the Stanley Cup final, and lost in Game 7 to Tampa Bay. And I was in the building. I was doing broadcast in the building in Tampa Bay. And when the buzzer went and Tampa Bay had won the Stanley Cup, I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. And I don't think I'd fully realized, you know, how much, you know, you cared.
That was a team you built.
Yeah. Well, and hey, listen, everybody did their part. I'd done my part. But being downstairs and seeing Jerome and seeing Craig Conroy and seeing Marty Jelena, and you know, so you asked me what my highlight was, what special moments. Again, like winning the Stanley Cup's unbelievable. But like it was almost like, okay, this is what we're supposed to do. But those moments in 1998, that moment in 04, when you really realize, wow, this is what it means. And these are special people. And I think to answer the question in a kind of in a worldly way, I think that when you see people that come together and are willing to achieve something far greater than they can achieve on their own, and you see what they're willing to do and what they're willing to sacrifice and how much they care about one another, that's what winning's about. And that's what success is about. And so to me, those are things that just stand out right in my head.
Being a part of the team
in sports. Well, and great people, like great people. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just great people. I mean, when you're on the ice and every year the guys joke with me at TSN, oh yeah, Craig's got to see the handshake line and Craig's got to see everybody hug each other and hand off the cup and everything. I said, I've been there. I know what that feels like. The emotion's raw. When Mike Modano is finally winning a cup and you can feel in the embrace that raw emotion, and you know, it's just special. I don't know how to describe it, and I wish everybody could experience it. And you know, when you watch what happened this year, and you watch Steven Stamkos, who was the first overall pick, get that cup from Commissioner Bettman, to me, it takes me right back to that time, and I get goosebumps all over again. So I've been fortunate, Ryan. I've had a lot of special moments with a lot of special people.
I always go back to Ray Bourque winning in '96.
Yeah, in 01.
Oh, it was? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my stat was wrong.
Yeah. We 96. Colorado won in '96, but it was 01. Because he got traded in 2000, and we beat Colorado that year in 7 games to go to the Stanley Cup final. And then the next year he won. And that was special. And you know, you watch Raymond Bourque and you see players that players that have given everything they can to win. And just because they haven't won a lot or haven't won at all doesn't mean they're any less of a winner. I mean, there's players that gave everything of themselves. They may not have won a Stanley Cup, but they are winners in every sense of the word.
So how do you come up with like the attributes that you're doing when you're ranking your players? Like, and what's the craziest question you've had to ask them?
I don't know if I have to. I've never asked a player crazy questions. I mean, we all hear about them, and some of them are funny, and some of them are cringeworthy. You know, I always just spend time with the players. You know, working in scouting and working in development, you know, players have goals, and what you want to, again, I go back to communication. You want to give them really clear direction and really, you know, help them understand what the strengths of their games are, where they have to improve, what they have to do to get to the National Hockey League. And so, you know, and the parents and really you got to work together. I'll tell you a couple of stories that I'm as proud of as any with respect to achievements. And I'll tell you the quick one first. Steve Monador, the late Steve Monador, who was a terrific guy, we signed him in Calgary as a junior free agent out of Peterborough. And Jimmy Playfair was coaching our team down in St. John, and we had a good team. And I was going down there towards the end of November in Steve's first year as a rookie. And we spent time with the players, working with them on goal setting and, you know, helped them work on reviewing where they were at and, you know, what progress they had made and what more they had to do. So I'm going down to spend some time down there. And the night before, I'm out having dinner with Jim and the assistant coach, Ron Wilson, and their wives. Jimmy says, "Oh, Craig," he goes, "you won't believe what happened today." I said, "What's that?" He goes, "Well, Steve Monitor came in to my office and he said, 'Give me a chance to play.' He hadn't played very much. And Jimmy said, he goes, I think I can help the team. I really do. But I need an opportunity. I need an opportunity to show you. I need an opportunity to show myself. And he said, if I can't, that's okay. I'm going to continue to work. But I've worked and worked and worked. And I think I can come in and help the team. And I really want that opportunity. But if I'm not ready, I'm going to continue to work to get in here to help the team. You don't have to worry about that. So Jimmy says to me, he says, I've never had that. I said, oh boy. I said, are you kidding me? I said, this is like put on a platter for you. I said, a player comes in, says, give me a chance to play. If I'm, because I think I can help the team. And if I'm not good enough, I'll go out and I'll continue to work. I said, how can you lose? How can you, if he's good enough, he comes in and helps. If he's not good enough, he's going to go and continue to work to get good enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jimmy said, yeah, that's a good point. So Jimmy put him in the lineup. Steve Monador never came out of the lineup. We won the American Hockey League Championship that year with 5 American Hockey League rookie defensemen. 5.
Holy.
Steve Monador was an integral part of that. But you think about a 20-year-old player coming in. That's not easy to do. To have the confidence to say, "Hey, give me a chance," and yet the courage to say, "And if it doesn't work, I'm going to continue to work hard." And and I admire, I love Stevie. I thought he was one of the reasons we signed him was because of his character and because of what he meant to a team. And when Ken Dryden wrote the book, about Steve Monador after he had died, one of the things Ken asked me was, why couldn't he have been more? I said he was everything he could have been. And there was nothing more for Steve. And I said, you know what? Some players, they just, whatever they have, they don't have anything more than that. But we should be, I said to Ken, I said, how many players did you come across in your career that you felt should have given more? And he paused and he said, yeah. I said, Steve Monador you never said to Steve, give me more, because he gave you everything he had. And that was special. And we sometimes do that. Jordan Leopold, we had traded for in a trade with Anaheim. Now I'll rewind when you talk about, what we talk about with players. I was with Dallas, and we went, and we always used to go spend a day with the players that we thought we could draft. So we usually spent, a day with about 25 players over the course leading up to the draft, and their families. We went right into their homes and, took them out for dinner or lunch and spent time with the families. And really what we wanted to do was hear what they had to say, hear what their plans were. We told them how we saw them. It was just back and forth. Parents always had questions. So we had spent a lot of time with Jordan, and he ended up being drafted by Anaheim, and we didn't get a chance to select him. I go to Calgary, and I get a chance, and we end up traded for him.
Yeah.
So he comes here. He's in his 3rd year at the University of Minnesota, and they get knocked out in the NCAA tournament. So a couple days later, Neil Sheehy, his agent, who had played for Calgary, a wonderful person, phones me and he says, Jordan wants to leave school. What kind of a contract offer are you going to make him? And I said, I'm not making any contract offer to Jordan. I said, if he wants to leave school, tell him to leave. He can check out right now, and we'll talk about it. Why? He goes, that's not how it works. I said, yeah, I figured it wouldn't work for you. Well, I'll tell you what doesn't work for me. This conversation about just offering him a contract because he wants to leave. I said, I will fly down to Minnesota, and we're going to have a meeting. We're going to have a meeting, you, Don Lucia, who was the head coach at Minnesota at the time, Jordan. And so Neil says, good. So we set up a meeting a couple days after that, and I go down. So Jordan is there with his fiancée at the time, Jamie, who is now his wife, and his dad. So we start talking the pleasantries, and I start saying, we got talking. We get past the pleasantries. I said, Jordan, prior to your draft year, or prior to your draft, we came in and spent a day with you. I said, do you recall that? He goes, oh yeah, sure do. Yep. And, his dad remembered it. I said, yeah. I said, you know what I recall? You said you told me you had 3 goals that day. He said, do you remember what they were? And he looked at me and he said, I said, I'll remind you. He said, you wanted to help the Gophers win a national championship. You wanted to be captain of the Gophers. You wanted to help them win a national championship, and you wanted to finish your degree. He looked at me and he said, boy, you have a good memory. I said, those are meaningful goals. They're real goals. I said, so we sit here today and you haven't achieved one of them. So I said, I'm left asking you this question. Either those goals don't mean anything to you or you're getting ahead of yourself. Which one is it? He looked at me. He said, I'm going back to school. You know what he did in his senior year?
Captain. And won the championship.
First national championship since 1979. In Minnesota, that's huge. That, you know, Herb Brooks was the last coach to have won the national championship. He won the Hobey Baker as well. He was one credit or 2 credit hours, couple credits short of his degree. And we helped him finish his degree through Calgary and everything. I will tell you this, Ryan. He could have left school. We could have put him in the lineup. I'm as proud of being able to help Jordan Leopold achieve meaningful goals that he could have never achieved if he would have left early. And I knew they were meaningful because of the time I'd gone and spent with him. And I'll be straightforward with you. I'm as proud of that as I am of any other hockey accomplishment I've had in my career.
Sweet. I mean, I was a huge fan. As much as I was a Canuck fan, I knew that Leopold was good. I liked the way he played.
Him and Robin Regier were a really good pair. They really put it all together.
I'd always be drafting Leopold in my hockey pools. Yeah. Okay, I got a couple more. So basically, have you looked forward to next year's draft much? Because we've interviewed Owen Power, Carson Lambos, Dylan Gunther, Chaz Lucius. Where do you see Luke Hughes going? This being a Vancouver question.
Well, I mean, Luke's going to be a first-round draft pick. I have no doubt about that. You know, I've watched Luke for a long time, and you know what's interesting about the Hughes boys? They're all different. You know, Jack is different than Quinn, who's different than Luke, and you know they all play their own game, but they all play it with three factors that I think set them up for great success. They have great passion for playing the game. They want to play. They just want to be out playing the game. It's just, if you ask Quinn Hughes, listen, we need you to play right wing tonight, he'd go play right wing. You know, and that's how Jack and Luke are. They just love the game. Number 2, they are so creative. They're always looking to try different things, and they're always looking to, hey, what can we do different? What can we do better? And, you know, their mom and dad, you know, Ellen and Jimmy have always encouraged that in the boys. And then number 3, they're not interested in just, you know, being creative and just being, they want to be difference makers. When the game matters and the game is there for the taking, they're not looking to take a back seat. They want to jump the queue. They want to be right at the front of the line, and they are ready to deliver. And while the disappointment at times, you know, may occur for them in different things, I think back to Jack Hughes at the U18 tournament. You know, that USA U18 team was the best U18 team I've ever seen. They were phenomenal, and you know, they lost that bronze medal game, and Jack, you know, who was the captain, who was the face of the team, he couldn't. He was so devastated and so distraught over losing that game and and letting down his team and not being able to help his team win. And, you know, he couldn't even do interviews. But later on that evening, I ran into him and he said to me, I'm really sorry. I said, are you kidding me? I said, no worries. I said, I got your back. You don't even have to worry about that. I said, you weren't capable of coming out and talking to the media, but he recognized it. So, and it's a special family. I mean, Jimmy and Ellen, I've known, they're dear friends. They're people that I love. And, you know, having watched Quinn, Jack, and Luke really grow up, and I did. It's pretty special. So Luke will be. I don't have any question. He very well could be a top 10 pick. That's what I would say to narrow it down. But next year's draft is really good. I mean, if you've interviewed Dylan Gunther and Owen Power and Chad Lucius, you've interviewed some pretty dark Carson Lambos, who's playing in Winnipeg. Really, I mean, it's an unbelievable draft.
We've done Cole Sillinger as well.
He's not bad. There's all you're doing is naming first round draft picks.
Yeah. We've tried to do, my one buddy that I do all my draft pick people with, he knows all his up and coming prospects, and I do all the interviews with him. Sometimes I dress up as Don Cherry. You ever seen the guy that's at the Canuck games that dresses up as Don Cherry? That's me.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I've been out here doing these interviews with the prospects, kind of like where Don used to take the top 10 prospects and put them all on the episode, and I I do that for my for when I interview the young guys. We've got most of Team Canada this year and next year, and Team USA for this year and next year. We've interviewed, I did Cole Perfetti.
That's too bad, Ryan, that this year, we missed the Hlinka Gretzky tournament, which is really kind of the real start to the scouting year, as these players, anticipate their draft year. We missed the U17, where the next group of players come along and play. I'm disappointed for the players, because for them to be able to go and test themselves and to see where they stand vis-a-vis other players around the world, they're missing that now. All the U17 kids are missing that. That's a fantastic tournament. They're missing all of that. And, you have those opportunities, even with the U18 programs, and they have tryouts and kids get cut, but it helps you understand where you're at and how you compare to different players. I mean, I remember Cody Glass being at the camp a couple of years ago, and he was cut, and Canada had a really good team. And I remember going and watching Portland early on in that season. They were out in Brandon and Swift Current and Moose Jaw and Regina, and it was like, oh my Lord! It was like your eyes popped watching Cody Glass play. Yeah. So even the fact that he didn't make that team, it helped him, because he knew where he stood with all the other. He was a 6th overall pick. Not bad, bad. And,
pretty damn good.
So those players, I really feel disappointed for the opportunities that they're not going to be able to never have again. Like, to watch Dylan Gunther and to watch. Corson Sulemans, who's another terrific defenseman, and Brant Clark and Cole Sillinger and Carson Lambos have an opportunity to represent Canada at the Hlinka Gretzky. It's gone, and I'm disappointed that they will not have that opportunity. But it's a good draft. I mean, or Simon Edvidson, who's a terrific player, Fabien Lysell, Atu Ratti. I mean, it's a heck of a draft.
Yeah, we can't get a hold of any of the Europeans, so it's easier.
Why not? You got to try.
We've been trying. We've been trying, but it's easier to get a hold of the Americans and the Canadians, especially because we go out and see all of them when they come for the Giants, come through the West.
Oh yeah. Well, you should try to interview the 3 Zacks. Do you know who the 3 Zacks are?
No, let me write this down though. Okay.
The 3 Zacks. They play in the Quebec League. Zachary Lahoureux, he plays in Halifax. Zachary Bolduc, who plays up in Rimouski, and Zach Dean, who plays in Gatineau. They're all first-round draft picks.
Halifax, Rimouski.
Yeah.
And you said Gatineau?
Gatineau, yeah.
Okay, they're all Zacks. I have to get my buddy on that one. He'll love it. We worked it on. We got a whole list of people that we haven't got to.
Great kids too, and I call them Les Trois Zac.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Les Trois Denis.
Nope.
So
I don't know.
Les Trois Denis is many years ago. Denis Savard.
I know that.
So it was they all grew up in Verdun. They were all born on exactly the same day. And they all grew up playing together on a line. Denis Savard, obviously a Hall of Famer. Denis Cyr, a first-round pick to the Calgary Flames. And Denis Tremblay. So as a kid growing up in Montreal, they were older than us, older than me, but we always used to play. If we were playing Verdun, the Adams Mosquito at that time would play, then the Pee-wees would play, and the Bantams, and then the Midgets. And wherever you were playing, you always had your designated days. But we used to stay later to go watch Les Trois Denis because they were phenomenal.
Yeah, that's great. I
What's
don't
that?
really. Yeah, three Zacks. I'm gonna look it up as soon as we're done here. I'm speaking of French. I just had George Larocque on right before you.
Well, you know what? It's the same thing. If there's a scrum on the ice, you don't want to be first in there if George is out there. George is out there. You want to come in after. So I'm better following George.
That's good. Okay, what about these? You got a couple more minutes?
Sure.
Okay, I only got quick Canuck ones. Gallagher, you think he might be on the market?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've thought about that. Obviously, you signed Josh Anderson, you have Drouin on a long-term contract, and you just signed Tyler Toffoli. And Brendan's got a year left on his contract. All I know is this: is that money has to. You can't sign every player.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that, if I'm looking at the Montreal Canadiens after they signed Toffoli and they signed Josh Anderson, is that one of two players is going to bust free out of there. That's going to be Jonathan Drouin or Brendan Gallagher. So
I'd love to see Gallagher come home.
Listen, tell me what team in the NHL wouldn't want Brendan Gallagher?
Yeah, exactly. Let's send him for 10 if we have to.
Him.
You think Jet Wu ever makes the NHL?
Jet is a real smart player and really good with the puck and really competitive. The bottom line is for me watching Jet, and I've watched Jet for a long time, is that he has to find a way to get quicker and faster. And when you're young, the reason he was a second round draft pick was because he needed to be quicker and faster. And the reason there's questions about his ability to get to the NHL right now is because he needs to get quicker and faster. But if you're going to invest in a player, you want to invest in players like Jet Wu that are committed to getting better, that have qualities that are already of NHL caliber. So, I guess what I would tell you, Ryan, is my concern is that I haven't seen the real step forward in terms of that quickness and pace in his game the last year and a half. But that doesn't mean he can't find it. But I don't think it's a certainty that he will find it, even if he works. And I know this, he'll work. We drafted Jason Botterill 20th overall in the 1994 draft when I was in Dallas. And, our biggest thing on Jason was he needed to improve his skating, his pace, his speed, his quickness. And I can tell you this, Jason worked as hard as anybody I've ever seen at trying to improve his skating. He put in every single drop of sweat equity to improve his skating. At the end of it, it didn't matter. He just couldn't improve it, and he couldn't make it. So, you asked me about players, and, you become disappointed too for the players that have this, that are good, and they have an area that they have to improve upon, and they work so hard at it. And yet at the end of all that work, it still didn't allow them to get there. And that certainly happened with Jason. And, that's where Jet finds himself at this point in time. And, I'm rooting for Jet. And like I said, he's got NHL qualities, but the pace and the quickness has to improve.
I met him a couple of times, and every time he comes to the Giants, we make sure we go and watch our prospects. I want to thank you for taking the time to come on with me tonight. We got an hour out of you. Hey, it just happens when you start talking hockey. So
it does, doesn't it, Ryan? Right? I'm happy that you reached out. I always try to engage and try to, you got something you're passionate about, and if I can help in that regard, I'm always happy to do that. So I'm really pleased and honored that you reached out to me, and I'm happy that we could spend this time.
The goat made another one.